Hi there, it's me again, your Lavanya. We are continuing our discussion on the basics of Saiva Siddhantham. We have already spoken a little bit on what are the basics, as in the three elements which is very important for us to have a clarity about. Then we spoke about the four gurus. Basically, we classified them under Samaya Kuravar and Sandana Kuravar, and we have been talking about those two segregations also. Now, I'm going to talk about, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about what you mean by Thirumurai, because these are a set of 12 books which is very important for any Saivite. And the moment you talk about reciting the verses, it is usually from these 12 texts. One common question usually people ask is, why do you have so many texts when it comes to Saivam? It is because of a very simple reason. We don't know what kind of a human being, the brain that we have, because certain people are very analytical, certain people are very emotional. For those of them who are very analytical in nature, they can't be emotional, and if you say ask them to visualize something, they won't be able to do it, because they look at everything in a very logical manner. When you talk about Carl Jung's method, they classify this under the blue category. So the blue person is basically someone who interprets everything in a very logical manner, and they don't like any kind of the stories and all these, they don't appreciate it. So in order to satisfy that kind of a people, we do have the Shastra, the Sattiram we call it, which is the Shastras, which is going to talk in a very logical manner about the three existence of the three elements. But there are certain people, we call them as the emotional people, right? They don't use their brains, but they use their heart to think. Those are the emotional people. Usually they are the, under the Carl Jung's method, we classify them as a yellow or a red kind of a group of people. They are usually very emotional in nature, and they are the ones who love to sing verses and dance, and they indulge in all those emotional activities. So in order to appreciate and complement their thought process, we do have this Thirumurai. That is the reason we have so many texts, no other difference. It all talks about the same thing. Whichever book you take, you read it, it talks about the same thing, but only the presentation is different. You look at a novel, if you talk about a small little kid, for example, you see a 5 years old kid, you can't give them books like encyclopedia and ask them to read it. You need only pictorial form. So you need to give books in the form of a pictorial approach so that they can comprehend the information. When you talk about someone who's reading, studying for their doctor, becoming a physician, when you talk about becoming a physician, of course we can't give them all these kind of comical approaches, right? We need to give them encyclopedia kind of books. So it depends on who is the target audience. That's exactly what the Thirumurai as well as Sattiram books are interpreted in. Now let's look at only the concept of Thirumurai for today. The Shastras, I'll come back with again another video. When you talk about Thirumurai, it simply means Thirumurai. We split it into two words because it's a combination of two words over there. Thirumurai means it has certain text that has been taken and it has been ordered or categorized based on certain logic. That's the simplest way to look at it. So that is how we look at Thirumurai. There are totally 12 Thirumurais that any Saivite must have read in their lifetime at least once. Don't ask me a question whether I have read it. I have not completed it yet. Anyways, that's a confession from my side. So when you talk about the 12 Thirumurais, we need to be clear about who wrote it and how it was written. So let's start with that. When you talk about you remember we have already spoken about the four Samaya Kuravar, Thiruஞான Sambandar, That's the kid, the small little baby who had contributed to the first 3 Thirumurais. So, the first 3 Thirumurai is written by Thiruஞான Sambandar. He is said to attain realization when he was 3 years old, and he was fed directly by the god Lord Shiva and his consort Parvati with milk rice when he was crying, when he was in the banks of a pond. That is the history. So, the first 3 Thirumurai is written by Thiruஞான Sambandar. If you are becoming a Tamil veteran, if you want to become a Tamil veteran, trust me, you need to read that. You can just do your PhD topic only based on these 3 Thirumurai. Such a rich concept. Whenever you're talking about Tamil, you can never go away without talking about him. If someone is like, very unbiased and they want to talk about Tamil, they will be talking about Thiruஞான Sambandar, but if they are biased, I'm not talking about them. So, to that extent, his contribution, his work stands apart. The next one, 4, 5 and 6. The Thirumurai number 4, Thirumurai number 5, Thirumurai number 6 is written by Thirunavukku Arasar. The first 3 Thirumurai, which is written by Thiruஞான Sambandar, is also called as Thirukadaikappu. They call it in that name also. It's called as Thirukadaikappu. The Thirumurai number 4, 5 and 6 is also called as Thevaram. Thevaram is 4, 5 and 6. It is written by, we call him in a very loving approach, we call him as father, which is called as Appare, because he is quite old compared to all the 4, and he is very, very mature. I don't think I can call him as old, but of course he is very mature in terms of the physical body, and that is why we call, of course all the 4 lead gurus are mature, equally mature, but I am talking about the physical maturity. Appar is a little bit more mature, that is why we call him as Appar, and his name is Thirunavukku Arasar. He wrote 4, 5 and 6, and 6, Thirumurai number 6 is a unique piece of work. It is called as Tiruthandagam, which is written in a very special manner. No other gurus have written in that particular format. It is such a nice one to read, to sing, as well as very complicated if you want to just conceive the information. That's until number 6. 7th is written by Nambi Arurar, who is actually Lord Shiva's very best friend. So, Lord Shiva took him as a friend. He is called as Nambi Arurar, and he has written the 7th Thirumurai, which comprises of 100 full songs. We don't call it as, it's like, one single song contains 10, one verse contains 4 lines, and such a combination of 10 verses is called as one particular song. So, he has written 100 songs in that manner. Only 100 we got it, the remaining is all lost, but according to history we can realizing that he has written a lot more, but unfortunate, honestly it's an unfortunate thing that we have lost many of the songs. We don't have that kind of blessing, I would say. So, this is until Thirumurai number 7. Thirumurai 8 is called as Thiruvasagam and Tiruchittrambala Kovayar. Thiruvasagam and Tirukovayar is how we call it. It is written as the 8th Thirumurai. It stands as the number 8. 9. Thirumurai number 9 is written by 9 of the gurus. 9 of them have contributed for that. Right now we got only about 30 to 31 songs in that, but it was contributed by 9 different gurus. 10th Thirumurai is written by Thirumular. It is also called as Thirumandiram. those of the yoga aspirants as of today, they will be following this particular verse. It is such a well known verse. It is called as Thirumandiram, that is Thirumurai number 10. 11th Thirumurai, the most complicated one, the least read one, is also 11th Thirumurai. It is given to us by 27 gurus. Such a complicated one, and it has a combination of all different varieties of poetry. So, if you want to evaluate the different styles of poetry, the best approach is 11th Thirumurai. And now the finale, which is called as Thiruttonda Puranam, Thirutondar Puranam, which is the 12th Thirumurai, that is written by Sekirar. So, if you look at it, we have 12 Thirumurais, and it is all contributed by so many of our gurus. If you look at it in totality, we are talking about this. Now, one thing that we have to understand is the history, how we got this Thirumurai. That is very important, and we need to know this as a Saivite. What happened was, the king Rajaraja Chola was visiting a temple in Thirumrai. He was visiting a temple. Someone was singing the holy verses. It was so mesmerizing to hear that. So he was very curious to know what was this song. And the person who was singing this said it is called as Thirumurai, and we got it, we learnt it from our fathers and all these. That is how it is. So he wanted to consolidate all these, all the Thirumurais, and he was struggling for that. Someone told him that it is all there in Chidambaram. We already spoke about Chidambaram Thillai, right? The place of the cosmic dancer. So it is all in that particular temple. It is locked safely. So the king, he's actually the king. He controlled the entire. It's an emperor rather, not a king. So what he did was he went to the temple, to the priests, and he was asking them whether, he was requesting them whether they can open the door. But they said, we cannot open it because it was locked by all four of them, which is not true, because all four of them belong to different times. You know, at least like 100 years difference. So how can all four of them go and lock it together, right? So that is practically not possible. So they said all four of them had locked it. So only if all four of them come and ask for opening it, then only we will open it. The king was a very smart king. Of course, that's why he controlled the entire world, right? Majority of the place that you see, at least until Angkor Wat, he had gone. So if you look at it, he was very smart. So what he did was he went back. He made 4 statues out of Aimpon, which is made of 5 metals: gold, silver, copper, brass. 5 metals put together. He made the 4 statues. And we call it as we actually do a little bit of an initiation for the statues itself, so that it gets the life. So that is how he did, and he carried all the 4 of them to the temple. And the temple priest said, no, it's only statue, it's not 4 of them, so we cannot open the door. The king was very smart. He said, if the 4 of them that I have brought along with me is only a statue, then what you are worshipping inside is also just a statue. If you believe that is God, you have to believe that here these 4 people are also here with us. So the priest could not negate it, because then it will be like shooting down on ourselves, right? So what they did was, they didn't have an option. They opened the door. And when they opened the door, the entire, because those days all this poetry was written in palm leaves, and the palm leaves was all destroyed. Majority of it was destroyed by ants, and that was an unfortunate thing. Once you read it or hear it, it's a little bit painful to see how people purposefully wanted to destroy it. Don't know whether it is purposeful or whether that's also God's grace. Only He knows it. Whatever it may be, we lost quite a lot of Thirumurai, and we got only few. And then what happened was, Nambi Andar Nambi is the one who consolidated all these. And when he consolidated, he did not know how to consolidate, because the history and all these were not known. So what he did was he made it, or he consolidated based on a specific logic called as pun. Pun is nothing but the way how we sing that particular Thirumurai. So he consolidated based on the pun, and that is what as of today we call it as Pan Murai or Adangan Murai. And the first 7 Thirumurai was consolidated based on this, and that is what we follow as of today. So as of today, if you look at it, basically this is the book. So you can see the book. This is called as Adangan Murai, and this contains all the 7 Thirumurai together. And then if you look at it, 8th onwards was consolidated later and was included into the list of Thirumurai way later. 12th Thirumurai is much more later in terms of the time. It's almost like 12th century. That is when the 12th Thirumurai was written, and it was included later. So as of today, we have 12 Thirumurais, and those are considered as the most important one for us. In other words, as a Saivite, we need to read all the 12 Thirumurais at least once in our lifetime, and in order to get Lord Shiva's blessings, we need to go through it. That is one of the way we look at it. It's our holy text. Now beyond that, if you look at it, what are the approach for reading it? Right now, if you look at it, it's like a medicine that we are using. So whenever we have some problem, whether it's a financial problem or whether it is a health related problem or any problem, office related issues, any kind of issues that we are having, we do have a solution with Thirumurai. Right now we are reading it at least with some kind of an expectation. So if I want money, if I want job, I just go through and read the Thirumurais, and many of us are following that, even though the original objective of writing this Thirumurai is not for getting this materialistic benefits, we are still using it. I mean, of course, in the 21st century, what else can we expect, right? So at least we have not elevated ourselves up to the level of realization. Of course, the objective of these Thirumurai is for realization, achieving realization. But if we want materialistic things, that can also be achieved based on our Thirumurai. It's such a powerful one. If God permits, if time permits, we will look at one Thirumurai at a time, and we will see how much we can talk about it. I'll come back again with a 14 Shastra text very soon. Until then, bye-bye.